Hey guys, welcome back to the Launch Your Real Life podcast, the podcast where we talk about helping young Christians transition from total financial dependence to complete independence from parents and family and everything in between. If you know somebody in that stage of life, whether they are graduating high school and going into the workforce or going into college, or a parent of somebody in that position, then I hope you will pass along this podcast so that it could help who it's really intended for. If you're here watching/listening, wherever you listen to podcasts, I appreciate it. I really, the only way that this podcast is going to get um, to a lot of young people who need it are through you guys sharing. So thank you so much. Now, what I want to talk about today is going to kind of turn this idea of independence on its head, right? Because I can only approach this topic from the perspective of a Christian, because I am a Christian, and so we can't really talk about independence before we talk about until we talk about dependence on the Lord. So I want to share some scriptures with you. First Chronicles 29:11-12 says, "Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in the heavens and in the earth is yours. Yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all. Both riches and honor come from you, and you rule over all. In your hand are power and might, and in your hand it is to make great and to give strength to all." And then Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth, that he may confirm his covenant that he swore to your fathers as it is to this day." Right? So if we are going to build a foundation for a financial life, it has to start here. Because if I'm the one who's responsible for my successes, quote unquote, then I can do whatever I want with that money. I can do whatever I want with that success. But if instead, even the ability to get wealth comes from the Lord, then we have a responsibility to use that wealth. In the church, we talk about the word stewardship, to steward or manage that wealth in a way that honors the Lord and is in line with his purposes. So this is easier said than done because, especially here in America, we have this this streak of really, I want to say independence, but this ownership of I'm doing these things. So usually, even if it's like, you get a promotion at work, it's like, well, God, thank you for helping me get that promotion, or thank you for giving me the skills to get that promotion. When it's like, no, even you getting these opportunities comes from the Lord, and we have to start by acknowledging and accepting our place. And really, it's easier the sooner you start. It's easier the earlier you start in your financial journey, keeping your hand open rather than tightening over these things that you start to accumulate, start to possess. And trust me, I am not perfect at this. I need a lot of work in letting go of the things that are quote unquote mine, or the things that I want. But it is easier, right? As somebody who started in the lower end of income and has kind of moved more to the center, if you will, it was a lot easier in the early days to acknowledge my dependence on the Lord when I was making 30K rather than 60K, or whatever the number is. And I know that a lot of you listening to this maybe you're about to graduate and you're going to go straight to jobs making 60K or more, and maybe you're thinking, like, 60K, that's nothing. But some of you will be even in the six figures, right off the bat. And if you can get this idea of that money that you're earning is not yours, then you can really set yourself up to have incredible impact on the world around you. Um, and so I hope that there's a whole bunch of people who look back and have you know, six-figure portfolios because they started investing a little bit at a time. People who are prepared for the crazy things that life throw at them because they had emergency funds, and who are generous and give 10% and more to their church and causes that they care about. Uh, I hope there's a lot of people that look back and they remember that they did not get these things by themselves, that the Lord gave so that they could be a blessing. And I hope that that is the case for people who listen to this podcast. I hope that years from now, people forget that they ever heard me talk, but if they take something and they're able to apply some of these principles, then it'll be worth it. Right. So, that's the thing I love about podcasts is I can look down at my notes without feeling like I have to edit something. So I want to clarify a little bit when I talk about independence in the term in the financial realm, because when in the financial world, right, you can hear a lot of people talk about financial independence, and what they're talking about is think retirees, people who are actually living off their assets and not living off of their income. That's why I try to word it to avoid the confusion. What I'm talking about, the people I'm speaking to are the people who are just starting out, but they want independence and independence from their parents or family or whoever was supporting them. Basically, being able to stand on your own 2 feet. And I know that there is a narrative and there is some truth out there that says that, hey, that is a really hard thing to achieve right now. It's really hard to do. And I understand that. And yet it's an essential step that we have to go through to be able to live up to our full potential as human beings, right? I think that the research out there bears that out. And so now, does that mean that everybody who hits 18 needs to be just like kicked out and like sink or swim? No, not necessarily. I think there are definitely good reasons you could stay longer with your parents or stay under their amongst their household, right? And I look forward to addressing like different phases of that in future episodes. But let's just talk about what's happening in the culture right now. We're having a lot of people who just can't seem to make that separation happen. And I'm talking about parents and children on both ends. According to one CNBC article, around 50% of parents with children over 18 still provide financial support to their children. And on average, they spend almost $1,500 a month to do so. And as you can imagine, that's hindering their ability to save for their own retirement, right? And so this means that our struggle for independence doesn't just affect us, but our parents, as well as our future families. The money guys who are financial advisors who put content out there, I love them a lot. They talk often about an article from, I believe it was the New York Times. The title of the article is "My Retirement Plan is You." And what it essentially details is that there's a trend of elderly parents not being able to support themselves in retirement. And so they're knocking on their children's doors and saying, hey, clear out the basement because I'm moving in. And, it can sound funny. It can be humorous. But really it's creating a lot of dire situations. And of course, I'm not saying that there aren't times when families choose to do this, right? And culturally, there's definitely other cultures that is normal, right? And it's not like you can't do this if you want to do this, but I do want it to be something that you guys are all happy about and you're all doing purposefully, not just because there was no other option, because of failing to plan and failing to launch on the children's part early on, right? Because if their children stay on and they have to, if they're paying car payments and car insurance or whatever, right, living costs to their kids for years and years and years, this severely hampers their ability to save for their own retirement, right? And so then the cycle just continues. And I really hope that we can work together to break that cycle, right? Because the earlier you start investing, for instance, the less of a burden it is into your future, right? Because starting early has exponential effect on what you end up with, right? But the problem is so many voices are telling us in our generation, millennials, Gen Zs, that it just can't be done, right? It can't be done, or you know what, the world owes us, good times, and so we're just going to take our good times and consequences be danged. Those voices are not in line with what God says. God says that he has a plan. He plans for hope and a purpose and a future. And if we, especially as Christians, can acknowledge him as Lord, then we can align ourselves to the truth that we are in a privileged position, right? Because even with menial jobs, more wealth flows through our hands than most of the world, right? And we have such opportunities to earn even more. And so I want to challenge you to challenge those voices with the truth that is God, who gives us the ability to get wealth, that God owns all of that wealth, and that he has a plan for you in your life to use your talents, your abilities, your resources, your time, your skills for his good and for your good, right? Does that mean that you're going to end up with a private jet and a house and, be able to retire at 45 and ride off into the sunset? No, that doesn't necessarily mean that, right? But it does mean that we have a responsibility to learn the basics of stewarding our finances well. And that is what I hope to teach through the rest of this podcast. So if that is something that you want to do, if you want to acknowledge that lordship that God has over your finances, and then take the journey to find out the small steps that you can do that will have an enormous impact into your future and into your family and the world around you, then I hope that you'll keep listening. I hope that you'll share this podcast. And I wanted to share a line from a favorite hymn. I won't say my favorite hymn, but this is something that I've been thinking about for several weeks now. It's from "Be Thou My Vision." You've probably heard it, but this one line, this one stanza, says, "Riches I heed not, nor man's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance, now and always. Thou and thou only, first in my heart. O King of glory, my treasure, thou art." So with that, I want to wish you guys a good week. I hope that you will reach out, hit my email in the description below, check out the website that's hopefully in the description below. And I hope that you will shoot me an email if you have thoughts, if you have questions. Put a comment, a review. I'm sure that'll help blast the show out farther. And I really appreciate it. So thank you guys for joining us again. And we'll see you next week for another Launch Your Real Life podcast episode.